Steven. Steven, I could save us. But I can't have you fighting me this time. You need to give me control. You understand?
What control of what? What are you talking about?
That thing's about to break through the door. We're out of time.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Noah. You're listening to a brand new season of A Bite of,
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Welcome to our Moon Knight season / the thing that we're currently obsessed with / the thing we're covering currently. That was my phone. I am so sorry.
Zerp.
So if you didn't listen to our Before You Watch Moon Knight, obviously we're covering Moon Knight.
So is this the first episode, or is this is episode 1 and that was episode 0.5 or 0?
Yeah, episode 0. It's the thing that it's optional. It's not required on the test at the end of the season to listen to our Before You Watch.
I mean, we did the research for you, so you didn't have to do the research, but if you don't want to take our research, then I guess you're just going in cold.
Yeah, which I think is fine, especially with the brand new fresh characters. Some people like to not be spoiled with, the things that happen. We also do write it in article form, so it's on abiteofpod.com. So if you don't want to listen to us, you can read it for 5 minutes.
Or why not both?
Yeah.
Enjoy it both ways.
But speaking of other forms that we are in, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at abiteofpod. And also Patreon if you want to support the show. If you like us, if you listen to us, and you're like, oh, those guys are really cool. But also not required.
If I heard someone saying a bite of pod, I would think, oh, it must be about pea pods.
No.
And they love them.
I do, but definitely not. Our show is not anywhere near food, but we like food.
We love food.
So
food is great.
But here we are in the first episode of Moon Knight, the new phase of Marvel, if you will.
Oh, he said moon pun. Pun.
Oh, yeah.
Moon pun.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about the show. We're going to go through it. We're going to give you our instant thought and reactions. And also, since there's, 6 now? 6 new MCU shows?
Yes.
We're going to talk about which of the 6, we're going to rank them. The first episodes of each one of them. Which ones are our favorites?
Do you like listicles? Do you want to listen to a listicle? This is an auditory one. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned for that.
But before we start discussing the episode of Moon Knight, we always have to issue a spoiler warning.
Yeah.
We don't want you to be spoiled. We don't want you to blame us for spoiling the episode for you.
No.
So, spoiler warning.
Yeah, that's why we have these episodes come out like 2 days. We give you 48 hours to watch the show that we're talking about because we don't want to spoil it for anybody. No.
We don't want to be spoiled. No. Why would we do the same to you?
Exactly.
How awful.
You have been warned. You've been warned. That's a pun. It's there. It's somewhere.
All right, I'm gonna pause and I'll think about it when I listen back. But let us officially take a bite of Moon Knight episode 1, The Goldfish Problem.
And what a problem Mr. Stephen Grant has in this episode.
He has many problems.
Yeah. So leading up to this show, we know that Disney, Marvel, they acquired fully the Netflix Marvel shows.
Nartflarks, indeed.
Nartflarks, Marvel shows. Daredevil, amazing show. Jessica Jones, amazing show. Luke Cage, pretty good show.
Uh-oh.
Iron Fist, okay. Yeah. Defenders, it's pretty good because Daredevil,
the other
Jessica
ones are
Jones,
in it, yeah.
But they're good. But they are mature content. And so with this tonal shift that we've heard Kevin Feige talk about, Oscar Isaac, everything, Moon Knight is the first one under the MCU umbrella where it's like, we're going to get a little mature.
Yeah.
And they do tiptoe into with some...
This is definitely a toenail shift.
So the opening scene of this show, and again, they're tiptoeing into the mature content with this one. We see Arthur Harrow.
Arthur
Harrow.
as my friend Arthur Harrow.
We see him lay out this nice little placemat cloth We see that he gets this nice glass of water. He does that magical on the rim of it, which, I mean, come on. It's like not the right glass for that.
No, it's not. I don't know who they think they're fooling.
But it's mystical. He drinks the water in it. I don't know if he's a half glass full, half glass empty type of guy. Oh. Then he wraps the glass.
I don't think that's for him to decide.
No. Gets his crocodile cane and smashes a glass. And it's like, okay, this is a weird tradition.
Violence.
Then he gets his nice little sandals.
Clearly alligator. Clearly.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I just thought it was like, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So then he pours this glass into his sandals. And if you've ever seen the A24 film Saint Maud, you know where this is kind of going. So
yeah.
He distributes, which I thought was hilarious. He puts the glass in there and then he moves the glass side by side.
Even
sandals.
Stevens, yeah.
He evens it out in the sandals, then steps into him and starts a walking.
Okay, I have a couple of things here. Okay. So first of all, cheating. Clearly there are holes in those sandals. Not impressed, Ethan Hawke.
Not on the bottom, though.
In the back.
Oh.
Zippity doo dah, going to work. Skip, skip. It all comes out. No one's impressed.
Okay.
Two, I was expecting blood flowing out of these sandals.
It is quite odd that there's no maybe the bottom of them are very absorbent.
Oh. No.
You would think they would have to be.
You're saying there's a ShamWow moment happening
Absolutely.
at the bottom.
Who says he's not above a good ShamWow?
That's true. And three, listen. If you guys have been listening to us, you know that we wake up early to watch this. Okay? I mean, I'm talking about literally roll over, grab the remote, turn the TV on, watch the new episode.
Still in bed.
5:30 in the morning, haven't even processed the day, and I'm watching Ethan Hawke step on glass shoes?
Yeah, and also to the tune of Bob Dylan's Every Grain of Sand.
You know, it's just some things you can't prepare for.
No.
And this toenail shift, not for me.
No.
Not so early.
I thought it was interesting. The MCU or shows typically, unless you're Euphoria and you just play like every bop that's happening right now.
Hey.
They usually pick songs for a reason. And so I was like, why did you pick Bob Dylan's Every Grain of Sand? Turns out that this song came out shortly after Bob Dylan announced that he was a born-again Christian. And it's very much based in faith and spirituality. So I was like, okay, I got it.
And I guess, like, I don't know, like you can kind of think of it like every grain of sand, like
glass.
Right. And like each little grain can make a difference. And so each little grain of sandy glass.
Isn't glass just grains of sand?
Yes. Melted down. But also, and it was a blast.
What?
Heart of Glass.
Oh.
Blondie. I don't know. I was just thinking of another fun song. They should have played that.
The next part we get to meet Stephen Grant.
Bestie.
And the song quickly switches to A Man Without Love by Engelbert Humperdinck. Amazing song, by the way.
Amazing name.
Yeah, amazing. But we meet Mr. Stephen Grant, who's in London. He's strapped to his bed by the ankles.
London.
London. Why did he say it like that?
London.
So he then goes through his morning routine of feeding his one-finned goldfish, Gus, checking the sand circle around his bed, taking the strip of tape off of his door, and calling his mum. I do want to say, though, after watching this a few times, are we sure that when he first wakes up that this is Stephen and not Mark? It's interesting because I feel like since the only distinguishing factors we get with these two different people is the accent.
Yeah.
So Stephen has this chimney sweep of an accent, and then Mark has
Oscar Isaac's voice.
American accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like without him speaking, I'm just like, who is this? Who is that?
He wakes up confused, but then like it's interesting because it's like he wakes up confused, but then he's very pre-programmed to do the things that he does. He wakes up, he unstraps himself, he gets the painter's tape, which isn't going to stop anyone.
It's not supposed to stop.
What is it supposed to do?
To know if the door was opened or not.
Girl, you just put a new piece of tape up.
Well, right. I think that's the thing that like as we know later on, Mark is a mercenary and he's pretty good at doing things. So I'm pretty sure he would know, like, oh, there's tape. Let me put
Okay,
it back.
listen. I may not be good at edging a wall while painting with painter's tape, but I sure as hell can put a piece over a door frame.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a mercenary to do that.
No, I'm just saying he would know what that would be. And he'd be like, oh, come on, Steven. I'm just going to put this right back while I go on my
I'm
night
just
stroll.
saying. It's just, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. The second time we see him wake up. The second time.
Well, so this other part that I wanted to mention, he does call his mum a few times. And it is interesting that he never actually talks to her. It's just voicemails with postcards being sent to him.
And that's also interesting, right? He says, I got the postcard, and then he pins it to the, edge of that's around the tank, the border around the tank. And you can see there's tons of postcards there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're old. So he's been constantly running through this routine that he has.
Yeah. So do you have any theories about if it's really his mom or...
I do not think it's his mom. I do believe it's Agatha Harkness.
Whoa. That would be cool.
Right? Maybe not so far off. Obviously, I'm full of shit, but I don't think it's his mom.
No, I actually think it's Mark. I think one of his identities, it's probably them. Because who else is traveling that much? It would be the mercenary.
Right. One of his identities is his mom.
Oh no. I don't want like a Norman Bates situation going on.
Hello?
No. I don't want...
Me love. It's me love me.
No, but I mean the fact that he hasn't talked to his mom, like we haven't heard it, it's who knows actually what's happening. The accent is very weird for him to even have. So I don't know. We'll see.
You know what, though? Let's stop for just a moment and talk about the character of Steven in the comics is not this like lowly chimney sweep guy.
No, that's the interesting thing about this so far. I mean, we don't know exactly how many of the identities are going to make it into the show. We know that Moon Knight / Mark is in it. Steven's in it. Mr. Knight's in it. But Jake isn't in it. But also Steven, who is the main protagonist so far in the story, he's not, I want to say, like the Jake identity.
Right.
He's this millionaire. He's pretty
He's
much
the
like
playboy.
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's Bruce Wayne, essentially. So it is interesting, this shift into how they do these identities. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't buy it. I don't buy that that's actually what Steven is like. I have my theories, and I'll get to them very, very shortly, because there's a line in this where I was like, interesting.
It's when he says, Bob's your uncle.
Oh. So Steven then makes his way to work, where he works as a museum gift shop clerk, but he's very sleepy because apparently he does not get any sleep. The little girl that he runs into in the museum, they have a little chat because she's putting trash, into, I mean, it's not like an actual like pyramid, obviously, because it's like 2 feet tall, but like still, like manners, little girl.
This little girl woke up that morning. She said, you know what? I'm going to go to that museum. I'm going to stick some trash in that mini pyramid.
And I like how she had no remorse when he caught her.
Yeah, she was like, what up? Boink, boink, boink.
There's nothing in this anyway. It's stupid. So then he proceeds to, educate her a little bit. He loves Egypt. He loves this type of stuff. And he's talking about how they used to take the organs out through the nose with the hook. But then there's this line. And within the first 5 minutes of this is a spoiler. Even more of a spoiler, even though you've seen this episode, but you don't know this character. She talks about how does it feel to be rejected from the field of reeds? And he's like, well, I'm not dead, am I? We know that Mark in the comics / all of the identities, he had died in Egypt. He was brought to the tomb of where Khonshu was, and that's what brought him back, and that's how he's involved. That's how he became Moon Knight, essentially. So it's interesting that there's these they're alluding into... I tried to make it a word that wasn't a word.
I think you were right. They're alluding to.
Yeah, I try to make it fancier.
Illusion.
They are alluding to the fact that he actually did die, but he's here now. And that's what makes me think that maybe Steven isn't actually, like maybe when he did die, you know what I mean? Like it kind of like the identity
is protecting him.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's not remembering everything. So it kind of pieced together these things like his mom and then all this stuff. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where that goes. But we got some hints that he has died.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. So we then meet his boss lady, Donna. Played by Lucy Thackeray. Insults him about everything.
Donna is what people would say is the worst. She's the worst.
Yeah.
She's so unhappy with her life that she needs to make Steven mild-mannered,
Meek.
Egyptologist, wonderful human.
She even disses his knowledge of Egypt. It's like he knows.
She's like, do I have to remind you you're not a tour guide here? Okay, you work in the gift shop.
You have to say it like her.
I don't know the exact line,
but say it like her.
Hi, Stephen. Do I have to remind you you're not a tour guide? You work in the gift shop. Scan these little gummies. You idiot. Get on with it.
That's pretty much what she sounds like.
Yeah.
I do it's like everyone around him. It's that typical superhero story. Like before they're the superhero, they're very like normal, kind of looked at, forgotten. People don't know their names.
They're bumbling.
Right. But I did like this specifically for this character, mostly because of Oscar Isaac. Because we don't really see him too much like this. Like the world flipped out when he like smelt, what was it, Chastain's arm.
Oh, he kissed her.
Well, you know what I mean. Like he started, like everybody flipped out about that and was like, "This is the sexiest thing ever." But then now we see him as like, "Ugh."
I mean, listen, people saw those Star Wars movies for Poe Dameron. Didn't work out so well for those people. So we're looking for this moment for Oscar Isaac to really just take hold of the scene, and we're getting it.
Watch Ex Machina, and he steals every single scene that he's in.
But that was like before the world was in love with Oscar Isaac. And now they're super in love with him.
Yeah, but that would affirm your love for him even more.
Ooh.
So then we also see this scene with another coworker named Dylan. Asks if they're still on for the day on Friday. But he doesn't know or remember about this date.
Best steak in town.
He's either too scatterbrained for his own good or something other than Gus is fishy. I wrote that and I had to say it because I was like, I wanted to bring up Gus again. We can't forget about Gus.
We can't forget about Gus. Guess what? Gus has one fin. Okay?
Yeah.
Finding Nemo is real.
Remember that. But I was also excited whenever the Twitter account for Moon Knight released this poster for the first episode. And it was Gus inside of a blender, which confused the shit out of everybody. I even looked up, I was like, fish and Moon Knight? Nothing. Absolutely nothing
Fish
came up.
in blender?
Yeah, so it was very confusing, but we can't forget about Gus.
But also, as we know, Gus is not actually in the blender.
Yet.
No.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I know.
Tis a different fish.
Yeah, so it's the other one. But still, I was hoping that the Pet Avengers was being built even more because we just got lucky.
Frog.
But, yeah, whatever. It's still out. Also, according to Donna, Steven's a vegan. So it's also funny that he wanted to go on a date with her
for
steak. But obviously we know that this was probably another identity that made this date.
Mark.
How much is like Mark working for him during the day that he doesn't remember?
Yeah, they're very, very diligent employees. No matter whether it's Mark or Steven, they know what they have to do.
Yeah.
They have to deal with Donna, go on dates with Dylan, and do that inventory.
So we do see that even though he's like a gift shop worker, he's an expert in Egyptian history. He even points out a mistake on the museum's marketing poster for a new exhibit that they have coming out. So he gives a brief tutorial about a supergroup of Egyptian gods known as the Ennead?
Aeneid?
Ennead? It was
the Avengers.
It was very hard to understand what he was saying because he has that accent.
Yeah.
I was like, Ennead.
I was like, I was trying to process it, and all I knew was in my head, I'm going, just stop. Donna's not going to appreciate this, Steven. And surely she did not.
In this poster, he mentions a few of the gods like Horus and Shu and all of them, and Donna kind of cuts them off. But the other gods that are within that are Utnam, Gub, Nut, Isis, Set, and Nifths. Just going to go with it. And these were once worshipped in a specific city in Egypt. There's generally 9, since Horus isn't always included. But in the comics, and I just wanted to point this out because this group of super Egyptian gods does exist in the comics. And in a way, they're like in their own pocket dimension, just like kind of like Asgard and the Eternals. Like they are gods, but kind of, what's the right word? Kind of go over their own domain. You know what I mean? It's like they're cosmic in a way, but it's like the Egyptians do this, but they could go everywhere else, just like the Asgard.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they do exist. But in this, also Amit and Khonshu are part of this 9. So I just wanted to lay the groundwork for that.
I also just wanted to mention that if you listen to our Loki season, you should already know about Set in my OMTG special segment.
Oh, really? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe somebody else remembered.
Comment below if you remember.
Wow. Okay, it's fine. Continue.
So outside of work, Steven lives a lonely, solitary life, barely noticeable by anyone, and spending his nights talking to a street performer who's posing as a statue. Turns out, due to the credits, this is actually Bertrand Crowley, who in the comics
Crowley
is a informant for Marc Spector, aka Moon Knight, on the streets of New York City.
I should have known by the hair. Now, I was actually noticing that this guy's hair looked very much like the guy that was selling brooms right outside of his apartment door when he left.
They all have stringy hair.
But I'm thinking, is Crowley just always watching him in different forms? Like, because every day he said, every day you're outside my door selling brooms.
He could be.
And every day he goes and eats dinner with the statue.
I mean, knowing the MCU, they took a character and obviously are changing it because this person in the comics is a person without a home. So they're just an informant for Moon Knight, and he kind of like gives them food and stuff like that. And in this one, it's a little different, but I did like that in the comics, Marc Spector / Moon Knight typically talks to a statue of Khonshu at night as a kind of way to process the day and stuff like that. So in a way, it's like Crowley kind of did twofold. It's like it does exist, and also he's posing as a statue, and Steven was talking to him. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that you just mix the two.
I also like that Steven looks out for the statue performer and reminds people who take a picture with him to leave a tip.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to look out for it.
It's his friend.
Yeah. And I just want to mention, we've got a lot of New York City within the MCU. I mean, Shang-Chi and Black Panther are kind of expanding that a little bit. But I like that this one, again, is not set in New York City. It's in London, which Moon Knight operates out of New York City, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And with Hawkeye and also Spider-Man No Way Home, we got a lot of New York. I'm just glad to see like a different vibe and double-decker buses.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of...
Flats. Yeah. They have flats.
So now we get to Steven's bedtime ritual, including pouring sand all around his bed, locking himself with those ankle straps, reading, playing with the Rubik's Cube, and listening to self-help tapes, which is very old school.
So this is something that I think is interesting, right? So when our episode begins, Steven wakes up in his bed, and you can see, or whoever it is, they wake up and they're confused. They look like they're not sure what's going on.
Right.
He takes the covers off. He looks at the ankle brace, and he's like, what is this? What's going on? But it's interesting to me that Steven doesn't know that he becomes other people, yet he knows that he needs to put the tape on the door and strap himself to the bed. So
he thinks that, I think at this point, he thinks that he has a sleeping disorder, and because he mentions, I can't remember in the episode who he mentions it to, but his mom, I think at the beginning, he mentions that he sleepwalks and stuff like that. So I think he's just taking like drastic measures for it.
yeah.
But maybe since like there's no, I don't know, enemy of Khonshu until now existing, the switches or the blackouts are happening more erratically, and Steven's becoming more aware. We also don't know how long it's been since he became who he is. Like, when did he die? You know,
Right,
so it's like,
right.
that's why I'm kind of thinking it's like you're right. It would be too long. Like if he lived like this forever, it would be weird that he never had any like, oh, why did I do this or why did I do that? Like, and just chalking it up to a sleep disorder.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me think that like it happened pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
And Steven is kind of trying to protect the body
Right.
by coming up with these things, getting the job at the place. And you know what I mean?
I mean, does Donna just hate him that much? If he hasn't been working there that long, she just hates him that much?
Yes, absolutely. 1,000%. Yes.
Donna, why?
No.
She's like, I wanted the best steak in town with you, and you didn't take me out.
I love the character, but she is not great.
No.
I don't like her.
She's a meanie.
Eventually, due to him trying to stay awake, sleep does catch up with him. And this is where the episode gets really weird / interesting / this is what the show is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is catapulting us into the world of Moon Knight. Steven suddenly wakes up in the middle of a field outside of a European village with his face all kinds of busted up, snapping his jaw back into place. With again, now we're in this mature content. So we hear the bones moving, and we see a bunch of blood in his mouth.
Yeah, this is what I think the movies call an unspecified European village. They're just like,
You can tell the Alps are there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it looks European.
Sound of Music field.
Exactly.
Maybe.
There's some red roofs, and it's pretty quaint.
There's
it's
also
a European village.
Poppies all in the field.
And cobblestone streets.
Right.
It's got to be Europe.
Absolutely. Has to. I mean, he is in London to begin with, so it's like, how far did he really go?
London.
I don't know. London.
London.
So, turns out Steven has just intervened in an attempt by Harrow's forces to steal a golden scarab, forcing Steven to jump out of a window in an attempt to escape.
Oh. I thought he was stealing the scarab from them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Steven intervened Mark.
Oh, stealing it.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
it's going to be like the key word, like the key things to like, I guess when we're talking about this is like the names. It's
Yes.
like, you know, no, I'm saying that also for myself because it's like, that's why when I wrote this, I put Steven in quotes. I'm like, Steven did this, Noah, reminding myself.
Yeah.
But he looks up and he sees those guys. And I love this part because he like waves to him. He's
Yeah.
like, hi.
Hey, guys.
And the other guy, he's like, what are you doing? Shoot him.
I do also love the voiceover of Khonshu.
Oh my God.
Where-
F. Murray Abraham.
Oh my gosh. Go back to sleep, worm. Surrender the body to Mark.
The idiot's in control.
The idiot's in control.
I love it. This disembodied voice that comes out of nowhere for us, the viewer. It's so good.
And it's interesting though, because like I feel like the lack of effect on the voice, whereas like usually when something's happening inside someone's head,
It's like echoey.
It's like echoey.
Yeah.
This is like bold. It's for everyone to hear. It's all encompassing, and like that's the power of Khonshu.
But only Mark / Steven
Yes.
can hear it. Yeah, it's amazing. And I did love this scene because we get our first like kind of flash of Khonshu coming up behind him, and it's so quick. I loved it. It's so good. I was like, ooh, this is the stuff I was hoping for.
And their depiction of Khonshu, they took directly from the comics.
Oh yeah, he looks just like him, especially the Jeff Lemire run.
Yes, exactly.
Looks exactly like him. So Steven does find a golden scarab beetle in his pocket. Before he can make sense of anything, the group of men with guns begin to pursue him towards the Alpine village / random European village. We don't know where. He comes across a congregation forming around Harrow and does his best to blend in. Puts that Avengers disguise up. It's just a hood.
Just a hood, baby.
Just a hood.
I love this, like, come along, everyone, gather around. It's the morning judgment.
Well, they kind of it's interesting. The character of Harrow in the comics, he was like he's a Nazi scientist, and his whole thing was pain therapy. So I thought it was cool that he was like doing this like self-flagellation with pain.
Very Da Vinci Code.
Right. Very like, ew, come on. But it seems that these villagers are like more like zombie-like almost, or like
They say, we love you so much. I want to touch your brown shirt.
But I want. Is it brown?
It's like brown.
It's like blood, dried blood.
You said rusty?
Yeah, rust.
Rust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iron.
I'll
blood,
give you rust.
Yeah, in the air, dried. Got it. But I'm just curious what hold he has on this random European village.
Did you see the surrounding hills? Live here for free. Pray to Amut. Get fresh cupcakes delivered.
I guess that's it. On Sundays, you get free cupcakes.
Hey, who wants cupcakes? Hey.
So, I also did like the aesthetic they're going for Haro, because since they changed the character so much, I'm glad. Like, we've had Hydra, we got the whole Nazi thing.
That's what I was thinking.
We don't need that. But it's very like Rajneesh, like garb. It's very culty.
You're talking about
Wild Country.
Wild Wild Country.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's similar in color. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah. No, there's definitely cult.
Yeah.
It's cult. Cult things are happening.
Yeah. So Haro exclaims it's their mission to make Earth as much like heaven as possible. He seeks volunteers who offer their souls for judgment to serve their goddess Amit before she wakes, which whenever that's going to be. As volunteers make their way up, Haro places the crocodile cane into their palms as the scale tattoo begins to shift in his skin.
Can we just talk about Amit for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Amit is a demoness and goddess in ancient Egyptian religion with the forequarters of a lion, the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, and the head of a crocodile.
You turned into Hermione for like 2 seconds.
Wingardium Leviosa. Amit was a beast associated with the time of judgment, depicted in funerary texts such as the Book of the Dead. Then they are there to judge you.
Yeah, I want to say, like, if you look up pictures of Amit, there's actually a picture of Amit in this episode towards the end on these columns when
In the museum, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't look that, like, I don't know, like, oh, I'd be scared to be judged by this dog hippo lion, but, like...
Noah said,
Ew.
ancient Egyptian artists, get it together.
Well,
I am not scarred.
But it's interesting that, like, a lot of the gods or deities for Egyptian culture, a lot of them either were so bestial or so, like, humanoid with a beast. But then you have Amit that's kind of, it just looks like a dog.
Well, the 3 animals that are depicted in Amit are the 3 largest, quote-unquote, man-eating animals known to ancient Egyptians. So those are the 3 animals they were most afraid of.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have led with that, but, like, I'm glad I said what I said and I don't regret it.
Okay. We're just sharing knowledge and thoughts. It's fine.
So, anyway. No, but that's good to know, because, again, with Moon Knight, and we're getting this new... So we got a lot of cosmic stuff, and we're getting a lot of more magical stuff with Wanda and Doctor Strange. With Moon Knight being introduced, we're getting even more supernatural. We're getting things that go bump in the night.
Yeah.
The first boogeyman. You know, we're getting that type of stuff. And also this cool facet of the world, Egyptian goddery. What is the right mythology? Is that the right word?
Goddery.
You knew what I meant. I knew I was saying a wrong word. I just wanted to come up with a new one.
This is your season to make words up. I feel like that's usually my role, so I welcome this.
Don't put pressure on me. I don't know if I can do it next
I'm not
time.
putting pressure on you. You've naturally done it this entire episode.
That's true. So one believer does come up to Haro, I was going to say Amit, which who knows, and is deemed a good man, as decreed by the scales, the vibrating, shifting scales. However, another little old lady comes up and is deemed unworthy, and she gets the Dementor life sucked out of her.
That's right.
Instantly.
All right, listen. I have a problem.
Uh-huh.
A magic tattoo. Come on.
I guess how else are you... I don't
Maybe
know.
his eyes turn black. That's better.
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes this noise. Stop it.
I don't think... No.
Not the best.
I don't think that the tattoo actually makes that noise. I think it's just the sound designers being like, hey, it's moving.
No, either way, not my favorite decision.
No, it is odd, but
yeah.
I think it's a lot like the Flag Smashers. It's a lot like, you know, you're getting this new group of antagonists kind of shown, and I'm sure that these tattoos that all of them have on, the followers of Haro/Amit, they have the scales tattooed on them. I don't know if they all come equipped with vibrating.
I think that's only
changing
special.
colors.
That's special for Arthur.
special. But I think it's going to come into play at some point. Maybe Lila has the tattoo somewhere on her and she turns out to be bad. I don't know. I hope not.
My God.
But I'm just saying, it just seems like it's an interesting decision that I think there's going to be a point behind it. I'm gonna reserve judgment.
I, on the other hand, will judge immediately.
No, that's fine. So obviously Mark's disguise did not work too well.
It's Steven. How dare you?
Oh, Steve. See, this is the thing. I knew it going into this because I'm so used to reading Moon Knight as Mark.
I agree. It's very discombobulating.
Which maybe that was kind of part of the point. I don't know. But so Steven obviously doesn't blend in well, and he doesn't know how to espionage well, and he moves closer to the front of the pack.
You guys,
And
hide around the
Haro
corner.
Immediately points him out, and he calls him a mercenary.
Yeah, well, he says the magic words, the magic bowing words that he doesn't know. He's like, Zoltan, and he doesn't do the Zoltan. So then he's like, I found you.
He says something Ahmed, but I kept trying to write it, and I'm like, fuck it.
He says, bibbidi bop bop Ahmed.
I have a hard time saying Arthur. I can't. There's no way that I can say whatever he said.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
But you're right. Steven failed the test.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And Haro tries to persuade Steven to give him the golden scarab, but an act that Khonshu will not allow Steven to do. This scene very much reminded me of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man in No Way Home, where he took the box from him and then he astral projects his body out, but his Spidey sense was still being able to move it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, Khonshu's just like a glorified Spidey sense at this point. Like, he's just not letting him do it.
I loved this scene, actually. So, I love when there's a bit of comedy injected into a Marvel show.
Yeah.
And Oscar Isaac does such a good job of selling the fact that I'm trying to give this to you, but my hand will not let it happen.
I want no part in what's happening.
No, exactly. And he, oh my gosh, when he tries to peel his fingers back, that even grossed me out a little bit. It looked like he was going to break his own fingers.
I wonder if he's double jointed in his fingers.
Right. It looks like he can bend them pretty far back.
Have you seen when people are so double jointed that they can extend their fingers out and they can pick up glasses?
Oh, no.
In the back of their hands. It's disgusting.
Do you ever see when people stick their hands out and then they can just bend their top knuckles?
Oh, yeah. My little brothers can do that.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I mean, if you're listening to us and your hands are like that, you're beautiful and they're not weird. But if they don't do that, then it is. It's weird.
You're right. I'm sorry. Hey guys, comment below. If you can do that, send us a video.
Yeah. Ooh, a video comment below? Please do.
Why not? Why not?
This is a new phase.
New season, new phase of a bite of. We want video comments, y'all.
Yes. Haro loses patience with obviously what's going on and commands his forces to seize Steven.
Seize him.
Who blacks out again. Only to awaken all bloodied from taking down Haro's men in combat. I love that so far Disney is pushing this maturity envelope, this maturity rating, this blood, with not showing us how the blood got there.
Yeah.
But the blood is there.
We know it's happening because it makes this noise.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I do want to point out that I do love that effect. I wasn't sure how they were going to do it because it's better than just the screen going black and then going to this.
Yeah.
I like this whole transition of the different identities.
I mean, didn't a little piece of you want to see how he beat the shit out of those people?
I think they're easing into it because I feel like from hopefully here on out, we're going to see more Moon Knight-ness. We're going to see more of the action actually taking place. But for now, I'm enjoying the erraticness of it and kind of being dropped in and dropped out.
Well, right. I also think though that, yeah, you're right. And we're very much seeing this from the perspective of Steven, who disappears in those moments.
Exactly.
So we're just as much in the dark as Steven is when it comes to Moonlight Night.
You could have just said Moon Knight.
Yeah.
You were right there.
Yeah. Well, listen, everyone.
You're waning.
I'm a waning gimbus. There's an anime called Pretty Cure. Okay.
Oh my God, I knew it.
It has 15 seasons.
Oh my God.
And every season it's a new group of Pretty Cure, these girl soldiers. It's very Sailor Moon shoujo. In one season, there was Cure Moonlight. And that's all I have been saying since Moon Knight came out. Cure Moonlight. So now I just say Moonlight instead of Moon Knight all the time. So I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
really sorry, you guys.
I'm glad you explained that to us.
If you want, I would suggest just going on YouTube and typing in Pretty Cure transformations because the transformations are beautiful. End of story.
Good to know.
You love it.
I've seen a lot of the Sailor Moon ones. I think I've seen them all. His face.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Well, I've seen one Avenger, so I've seen them all. Fine.
Yeah, have you?
Fine.
Moon Knight is pretty different. Uh-huh.
I only know Moonlight. So
So next, Steven steals a cupcake delivery truck, the one that is delivered on Sundays to give to the nice cold people.
one of the most beautiful cupcake trucks
It is
I've
pretty
ever
good.
seen.
Yeah, it's not like super kitschy, but it's also like eye-catching.
Super freshly painted, a gorgeous 3D cupcake on the top.
Yeah.
Very
great.
sad. And fresh cupcakes inside.
He hightails it out of town with the soundtrack of Wham's.
Wake me up before you go.
I knew you were going to do it. That's why I paused. I had to let you do it.
He looked disgusted. I'd just like to put that out there.
I did not. So he's hightailing it out of this random European, both start with E's, village.
True.
And I thought it was interesting that he's very good at driving on these alpine highways in a delivery van when he doesn't have a license.
Also, I always love the luck of getting into any van or car in a superhero movie.
And the keys are
And
in
the
it.
keys are in it.
Yeah.
The keys are in it.
I mean, to this credit, I will say it's like, yeah, right. I mean, like, hopefully they would always just take the keys out, but like the guy was like right there. So I don't know.
I don't know. I think that sooner or later, action-packed movies are going to have to realize that there's a lot of keyless entry and keyless starting of cars these days.
Tesla, the freaking doorknobs or handles don't even come out until you like unlock it or whatever.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're really gonna have to get creative with these chase scenes.
I would have loved to see Steven try to hotwire a cupcake delivery van. I would have loved it. But this is where I'll get a little critiquey with the show so far.
Ooh.
And no, I mean, well, I think you could probably agree with me. And I know it's like weirdly picky, but in moments like this where everything has been so good, visually, the cinematography in this show so far is just outstanding. It's so cool the way they play with reflections and everything. The CGI in this show is a bit why. It reminds me a little bit of Falcon and Winter Soldier, especially in the earlier episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene in this where one of the guy jumps to the back of the cupcake van.
Yeah.
It completely took me out of it
Oh.
because it looked so fake. And then there's a part where I think he blacks out and wakes up again, and he goes around the truck with all the logs on it.
Yeah.
Extremely fake.
Mm.
And it's like moments like that where it's like, it took me out of it for a second, but I'm still enjoying every part of it. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. And I know I was kind of being facetious before, but the sound effects took me out of it.
Really?
I think some of the sound design, the stupid thing with the tattoo, the kind of, like, I don't know. I feel like the noise that they're using for when he becomes Mark and we don't see it, that's like such a standard, like creepy trailer sound effect.
I think I like
It's
it
not
coupled
bringing
with the
anything
visual.
new. I guess that's my point. I don't
Yeah.
know. But so I don't know. I see what you're saying. I think that there are things here that might work for some people, might not work for others, but I completely get it.
Yeah, it's just a little like that could have looked a little better. Like I've seen Infinity War. It looks beautiful. You made a big purple man with chin like that look real.
But even just take it down to another, television show of Hawkeye. They had that great chase scene in the car. And
I think it's like the mix between like practical and doing CGI, which I kind of get. Like you're working with a truck with a bunch of logs on the back of it, safety first. But like maybe you didn't need to have that.
Maybe.
Anyway, Steven keeps blacking out and waking up with James Bond-like skills. But he's just like has guns in his hands. He's like, whoa, what am I doing?
Driving backwards.
As of now, we're getting a lot more drop in and drop out moments. So obviously it's like Steven is kind of taking control more often. So I'm liking this. It's kind of coming to a head to where he's going to eventually figure out that either the DID, something's going on, who is this random mysterious person that's talking in my head. By the end of this, he does know about Mark, but I'm liking this journey that we're seeing so far because we're exploring it with him. And that's something that I think is cool with the new character and like a mythology that's super fresh. You kind of do need to do that. But I did like that we didn't have to do this whole like Avengers, where are they now? You know what I mean? It's like we've seen these characters like Hawkeye. It's like, okay, where is he now? And in the first episode,
Yeah.
this one, it's just like, we're just going to start the story right off the bat.
Yeah, I feel like with Hawkeye was sort of the last Avenger that we had to catch up with. So now we get the opportunity to just meet new characters, which is exciting,
With no pre-existing anything.
Right. So it's Moon Knight, it's Ms. Marvel. At some point, it'll be She-Hulk. It's kind of like we get to just live with these characters in the now.
Yeah. Yeah. So this chase scene ends with the road being, and the people and the cars being flattened by the logs from the truck prior. Which, again, I don't think was necessary, but it was like, ugh.
I mean, that's why you have to yell timber.
Yeah.
It's going down. There's logs on the cliff.
Stop it. Steven disassociates again from the chase entirely. And he wakes up in bed, safe with his ankle restraints.
Good morning.
It was all a dream, right? Wrong. While the tape on the door is undisturbed, the fish now has 2 fins. Justice for Gus.
What?
What happened to him? Where is he? I need to know. What happened to Gus? So hopefully Mark better fess up. Whatever happened.
He ate him.
No, why? No. He's
Why
so tiny.
wouldn't Moon Knight eat him?
Well, also, why does Gus have such a big fish tank?
Well,
curious about that.
each goldfish is supposed to have 10 gallons of water to itself.
That was like a 100-gallon tank.
Well, he's doing them right.
That's a lot.
Good for you, Gus. R.I.P.
We do see Steven go to the pet shop and complain to the unfortunate retail worker there that this fish had
We've all
one
had
fin.
that customer.
Yeah. Claiming that your pet is growing limbs that they did not have when you bought them. Turns out he didn't just black out for a few minutes, few hours, and it also wasn't a dream. He kind of like was gone for a few days. So he's late for his date, and he's been asleep for 3 days. Steven then rushes out of the pet shop because he's late for his date. And then we see him sitting in a very nice corner restaurant. Apparently they have the best steak in town.
Best steak in town, baby.
And he calls Dylan. And it turns out the date was a couple days ago. And she's like, oh, now you call me? What's wrong with you? But this scene was really sad. It was very well acted, extremely well acted. And I think this is the cool thing about seeing Oscar Isaac play this character, because he's almost like burning both ends of the candlestick here. Because he has to play like the Moon Knight Marc Spector character, and then he has to play Steven, the unknowing, the one that knows that he's living a lonely life. And he even said to Crowley, the statue, he's like, I mean, how am I supposed to have a relationship if I keep having like these sleep disorders and stuff like that? It's like, this is the whole DID. This is what I was hoping they would kind of explore a bit with the character that has this type of thing that goes on with them, you know?
Yeah, no, and I think it was kind of funny. He's like, having to tie yourself to the bed, that's kind of a red flag, isn't it? And it's like, well, if someone really loves you, they'll tie you down.
Well,
maybe you buy her, you get the nicest steak in town, and then you say, hey, BTW.
For nighttime
Strap me
activities,
in.
maybe, but not like, hey, come over for dinner at my place. Don't mind the sand around my bed.
I'm just saying, people who love others are willing to help them with things they're dealing with. Let's not judge her. But I do think that standing her up is not okay. And sometimes you have to deal with the repercussions.
Yeah, it's not his fault. That's what made it kind of upsetting. He had no control over it whatsoever. And he was so happy about it. And then it was just like, oh. And then the vegan orders the steak. He doesn't know how to order steak, but he says, he's like, what part of the steak? And he's like, the steak. He says, how do you want it done? Good.
Yeah. And then the guy's like, oh, that's the fillet. And then he says, well done. What waiter at the best steak in town restaurant is going to offer to make a filet mignon well done? Shame.
Well, that's the opposite.
Shame. That's what I mean. He's like, I want it the best way. He's like, well done. Well done then, sir.
Oh, he says that?
Yeah.
I thought he asked him how he wanted it done, and he said good.
Right. He said, so Steven says good, and then the guy
Oh.
says well done. Ew.
Oh, very confusing.
No.
Just,
I mean, I
Steven,
don't think
you're a
we're really.
vegan.
Yeah, we're not really supposed to be paying attention to this, but I'm just saying. Oh, it was Crowley again.
So Steven then, on his way back from his blunder of a date, talks to his mom again on the phone.
He lies to his fake mom.
I know. It was. See, that's why it's just so sad.
She loved the flowers.
Nothing.
I'm not to bring around.
We need to protect Steven at all costs at this point. From what we know so far, he's so sweet.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, is there just going to be a full shift away from Steven and we're all just going to be mourning the loss of the delightful gift shop
I don't
worker,
know.
Steven?
Maybe not. I hope not.
Or is Donna the main love interest and it will take place
Ew,
at the museum
No.
always?
Moving on from that, I don't like that.
Hey, whatever.
Also, I noticed, so in this part of it, we see that he brought a box of chocolates, I'm assuming, to the date, because it wouldn't make sense that he bought them afterwards.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I mean, would you like that on a first date? It's a heart-shaped box of chocolates.
Okay, very Valentine's Day, but your boy loves chocolates. So, oh my God, you got me this box of chocolates? Guess what? We have some steak, even though I don't eat beef, and wine. And then when I kiss you goodnight, I go home and I just eat that entire box of chocolates.
I don't know.
What a delightful treat. Thank you so much.
I wouldn't like it. Or I would like, I mean, I would eat it later, but like, I would think it'd be a little much
Well,
on the first date.
I a long time ago met someone for lunch and they gave me a necklace from Express and it was very bizarre. So that's a step too far.
Can I ask how you knew it was from Express?
Because it was in an Express gift box.
Oh no.
I was like, thanks.
I mean, I'm not trying to like be like, that type of person, but it's like, I mean, if I saw something from Express, I'd be like, oh, it's not going to fit.
well,
You know
wow,
what I mean?
roasted.
No,
But-
to me, because their sizes are always
Well,
so
no,
small.
it was a necklace, but it like wasn't my style. It was interesting. I mean, like lovely gesture, but caught me off guard for sure.
See, that's too much. Like, I feel like gifts on the first date, unless it's like a joke or like, you know what I mean? Like, unless
Like
it's
a
kind
flower that squirts water.
no, like you guys had been talking and like
Oh,
you talk about
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Something. And
Right.
then it's like, oh, I had to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's fine, but not like I don't know. It's just a weird thing to do. I don't know. I don't like it. It would make me feel weird.
Well, on our next first date, feel free to bring me a box of chocolates.
Well, I could just do that now. Here's your M&Ms.
I mean, wouldn't fight that either.
So anyway, comment below. Would you like a box of chocolates in a heart-shaped box on a first date?
You know what they say, life is like a box of chocolates. Also,
No.
But that's a good question, because where are you getting a heart-shaped box of chocolates if it is not around Valentine's Day?
I was trying to read what the box said, but I mean, who knows? Maybe London has Valentine's Day all year round.
London.
Maybe in London.
London.
Maybe there's a store like This Is Christmas or like Christmas all year round.
Like
Maybe
the
there's-
Christmas tree store?
Yeah, maybe there's a Valentine's Day store all year round.
Oh.
I hate
Okay.
it, but it'd be
Well-
weird. Why would you want to anyway? Whatever. We need to move on.
I
'cause
really
that's-
want a Russell Stover's chocolate box right now.
All right, we'll get one after this.
Yay!
So back in his flat, he pokes around and finds a secret compartment with a key and key to a storage unit. Damn, I was on a roll. With a RAZR flip phone. Blast from the past.
What?
I had a purple one.
Mine was black.
Oh, I like that one too. I had a black one for about a week and then I broke it and then I got the purple one.
They were so breakable, weren't they?
It broke. It snapped in half.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
so
it's
bad.
like international mercenary spy uses very inconspicuous Motorola RAZR?
Maybe it was like they could change the SIM card. I don't know.
Oh, SIM cards. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's not as trackable as like a smartphone. I don't know. I'm just trying to like give Mark the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. So far, Mark and Steven have not made me not like them. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to think they're doing everything right.
Sure.
And they're pretty little angels.
But I mean, like, RAZR phone is making me think, like, what year is it? Valentine's Day box of chocolates is making me think, what month is it? I'm very confused.
yeah, it is a bit.
It's jarring.
In this call log on the phone, we do see one little Easter egg. And it's Frenchie's name.
Bonjour, Frenchie.
If you listen to our Before You Watch, we did talk about how he has essentially like an Alfred in the comics. His name is Frenchie. He's a French pilot, so he calls him Frenchie. His name is Jean-Paul, but Frenchie's the name. I do hope, and this is why I do hope, that he is in the show, not only because it would be cool to see Frenchie, but Frenchie is canonly bisexual. And he has a relationship with the dude.
Cow.
Yeah, so it's like, bring that representation.
Serving bisexual realness?
Maybe Mark is in a relationship with Frenchie.
Oh my God, French kissing Frenchie under the moon night light.
See, you keep doing it. Moon night light.
But no, it's like you wouldn't say under the moon night.
You would say under the moonlight.
No, you would say it's either midnight or moonlight. They put them together and it's moon night. Do you see what I'm saying? You're not under the moon night.
No, but you're under the moonlight if you're kissing outside.
That's what
night.
I said.
Oh, did you?
And then you corrected me and said, say moon night.
No, you said moon night light.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. Play the tape back. You said under the moon night light. That's why I was like, just say moonlight.
Hey there, you with the stars in your eyes.
So as he's looking through this phone and being Snoopy.
What?
Snooping. Around this time in the episodes, it gets a little iffy for us. This episode.
Oh,
our
us.
podcast.
Yeah.
Not the
yeah.
episode we're talking
Yeah,
about.
we start off strong at the top, and then it just turns into delirium.
Everybody that listens to this just did a massive collective eye roll because they're like, strong, okay.
Yeah, they were like, if that's what you want to call it, okay.
We just like listening to the
You
train
guys
wreck.
think highly of yourselves.
So
Cool.
as he's snooping, not being Snoopy, in the phone, this mysterious person's name that's all over the call log, Lila, ends up calling him. I love the surprise on his face. He's like, ah! Looking at it. And when Steven answers, Lila claims that she's been trying to reach him for months to no avail. And she also is like, what is this accent?
Yeah.
And she keeps calling him Mark. He's like, what did you call me? So hopefully Steven starts putting these pieces together at some point. But she did stop. She just hung up on him. So curious little character. This Layla is, I said her name wrong previously. Excuse me. She doesn't exist in the comic, so I'm having a hard time remembering her name. Also, we haven't seen her in the show yet.
That's true. For her to be credited as like one of the 7 characters on IMDb, she's not even in the first episode.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to assume that she's going to be in the next one because, again, this is only 6 episodes. So
It is a 6-episode event.
yeah, it's so interesting that they're calling it an event.
An
but
event.
Maybe we'll see how that pans out. At this moment, a voice only recognizable as Oscar Isaac's American accent speaks to Steven. This, as far as we know, is Marc Spector. And I say as far as we know because we don't know for sure what is going on and who is who and whom is whom in control.
Yeah.
Mark warns Steven to stop looking before he gets himself in trouble. The lights start flickering, books fly off the shelves. He escapes out of his apartment like any rational person would.
Run!
Things are flying out their face. And we get our first good look at Khonshu.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI in this scene was better.
Mm.
I do have to say, especially when it was like all the way down the hallway and we get that flash.
It was creepy.
Yeah, the same flash we got from the trailer. Seeing it again, it was just like, oh, with the context.
Mm.
It's so cool. Everything in this show so far, the characters, the supernatural elements, everything is so striking. And again, I know I'm going to use this word a lot, but it's just so different from what we've seen in the MCU so far. So I'm just eating it all up. I'm absorbing all of it.
The Khonshu design is giving me very Doctor from Bly Manor. That like very long beak.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was like, what doctor? Yeah, I remember him.
Remember him?
Yeah. Didn't the medicine men, don't they have like an actual name? I can't remember.
Well, there like it was something about like
It was during the plague.
Yeah, those masks. I don't know. It had something to do with them
like
not getting
the
infected.
long breathability.
Poking.
Of the beak. I don't know. They just poked all the sick
Pecking.
people.
Yeah, it was about pecking them.
So I'm loving all these creepy moments too. Like I feel like it's really steeping into the supernatural element to it. It feels right on tone with what you would expect the show to be.
It's that toenail shift.
It's that toenail shift into the supernatural.
Oh.
Steven blacks out and wakes up on a bus, also spotting Conchu on the street.
Hey.
And then Haro on the bus.
Yeah.
Was he with them
What?
the whole time?
Yeah, he was just, what? It made what?
I tried to, like, whenever watching it again, I tried to see in the background if I could see Haro. I didn't see him, so I don't know.
And so he's looking for Steven, is on the same bus as him, but doesn't get off the bus when Steven gets off the bus.
Maybe he is following him. And that's how he then shortly in the next few scenes that we'll talk about, he shows up at the museum he works at.
So here's the thing about Arthur that we didn't realize. He may be wearing loose-fitting, glass-filled sandals, but the man can run.
He can move.
He can move real fast. He said, uh-oh, missed my stop. Guess what? I'm hiding behind this column.
You know why he can move fast, right? He has no feeling in his feet, so he can just, like the wind.
Oh, wow.
It's just a streak of blood he's riding on, just right where he wants to go. So, and I would, before we move on, just more of like a technical aspect, I do really like the music in this. Aside from the sound effects, I was really paying attention to the music because I'm very much like a score type person.
Oh.
I love it because it's like epic and eerie at the same time.
Oh.
The cool mix between that
Sure.
stuff. And it does feel very much like with the mythology. It feels like Egyptian in some way, so it's very cool.
I kept trying to smash epic and eerie together in my head.
Eerie.
Yeah, they both start with E, so it's not as fun.
Or why don't you go epic ear? No.
You know?
Yeah, it's not good. Just say both of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were right.
All right. So at the museum.
Forget it. End the episode.
At the museum, Steven pleads with JB, the great security guard with 1 million monitors.
Who
in front of
watches
him.
otter videos.
Yeah, which is kind of cute.
Right.
Yeah. To not admit anyone into the museum because he's being followed, which seems like even just a hard task because it's a public museum in the middle of the day. So good luck, Steven.
Yeah.
Arthur Haro shows up and he's astonished to find Steven at the museum. He thought Steven Grant was an alias. No, it wasn't. Steven Grant just doesn't know he's a mercenary and he just gave you his name.
Did you see Donna give me a hard time at the front? Okay, I don't come here for fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Steven, it appears several of his colleagues at the museum are also acolytes of Haro, which I guess makes sense in case any like artifacts of Amit come in.
Ametians.
Then he's just like, hey, Dr. Harhar, I got some new stuff. Do you want it? He's like, yeah. And then that makes sense. Steven swears he doesn't have the Zealot's scarab beetle. Wrong. Is not his scarab. It's Amit's.
Give it back. It's hers.
This is where we get a little more exposition or explanation.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of soliloquying.
I'm going to try to simplify it or at least explain it a little bit.
Please.
So Haro explains the only people who should fear Amit are evildoers. Very ambiguous. Cool. She has grown weary of waiting for her sinners to commit their crimes before punishing them. After all, her judgment surveys their entire lives, past, present, and future. It's very like Minority Report. We knew how that turned out. It's not a good thing. You can't do that.
Okay.
She not only knows what they've done, but also what they will do. She wants to rid the world of evil, which isn't kind of that's what you're doing. You're judging people before they even commit the acts because, as again, we've seen in Minority Report, things can be skewed and also people can change. So
yeah, also those people in that pool, remember that?
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah. It turns out that she is a little salty because she also was betrayed by her insolent fellow gods and her own avatar.
She was like, listen, let me kill all these people. And they were like, no.
Yeah.
She's like, F you.
Yeah. And they locked her up somewhere, maybe in the scarab. I don't know. Haro reasons with Steven that he understands how maddening it is to have that relentless voice in his head, which is kind of creepy that he does know that, but I guess they both are kind of like avatars, so I don't know. Who knows what Haro sees? As he grasps Steven's hands, the scales of judgment on his forearms are undecided on Steven as the scales continue to shift from side to side. We don't see what the scales show, tip, change color. Maybe it's white. I don't know. But Haro confirms, and this is kind of like the tagline of the show, there's chaos in Steven. Embrace the chaos is pretty much Steven's goal here.
And then
embrace it.
and then he like just like leaves him.
Yeah, so this next scene, I know that Donna this whole episode was like, you're gonna do inventory. That's why you're doing inventory tonight. Like Steven took it a little too far and he actually just stays in the museum.
Yeah, he's
and
like,
does it.
I found a phone. I was in an unspecified European village.
Got shot at, saw
Got
people
shot
die.
at. Ethan Hawke followed me to work, but I got to do inventory.
That would be the scariest thing for me, seeing Ethan Hawke.
With that hair?
The hair is also the scariest thing. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Not
Get out
great.
of my face.
So while Steven is there by himself, beep booping all the inventory,
Boop.
Steven discovers that Haro releases a jackal to attack him because he's like, you don't give me the scarab, I'm just going to make this jackal eat you. I don't know the mystical mechanics behind it, but apparently he has a pack of jackals. that he
Pack
can
of
send out.
jackals.
I do love that Haro comes on to the announcements, but it's like very much the museum jingle.
Bing bong.
Yeah. Give me the scarab, Steven. It's like, I can't. take
So
you
again,
seriously.
he let Steven go to do inventory.
Yeah.
Stayed in the museum after hours.
Hid in a sarcophagus.
To then use the PA system.
Yeah.
To say, guess what? I got a jackal.
He probably didn't have to hide. I mean, he has acolytes there, so he's probably just like, hey,
He's just
Jim.
hanging out in the break room.
Jim, I just need to like chill here for a second. I'm going to need the PA system, but let me just fuck with this guy.
He said, I'm gonna go get a quick fish and chips. I'll be back, babe.
So that confrontation forces Steven to seek shelter in the museum bathroom, which was very hard to get to, by the way. There, in front of mirrors, Steven is contacted by Marc, who begs to be put into control. I love this scene. The way it's shot is so freaking... This is honestly my favorite scene in the entire episode, and it's the very last scene. I know usually they do these like sizzle moments at the end of the first episodes to really get you, like WandaVision, and all of them really did. But this one was just like, the acting was so good. The effects were so good. I love the camera angles. It was just like, I love it.
I agree. This was my favorite part, especially like acting wise, to see Oscar Isaac acting with himself.
Whoa.
You can see how talented he is because they're two complete different characters.
And I think that's why the accent came into play. It's like to distinguish them, and also so that way he can get into character. You know
But the mannerisms seem very different. The body language
Even
is
the
very
hair.
different. Yeah, between the characters. This is a really fun scene.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that when he finally lets Marc take control, aka unleashing the Moon Knight, as this ceremonial garb comes over him, you see all these hieroglyphics. Kinda like
Glowing.
yeah, it's cool. It's like, oh, this is like his Sailor Moon transformation moment. It's a little scarier and a little slower, but it looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
I love it. The final shot of this episode is Moon Knight pounding the jackal beast to a pulp in the bathroom floor. End scene. Great. Oh my God, guys.
His glowing eyes walk into the camera frame and then it goes to black.
Oh my God. The suit is so cool. Everything about this show visually is, aside from the CGI, is
Everything except the
fantastic.
effects.
But that's the thing that takes me out of it, because everything looks so crisp
Yeah.
and so cool, and then it's like, that looks bad, but it's fine. Keep
How
going.
dare you?
Then Oscar Isaac comes back on the screen acting perfectly, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's go.
He was literally in every scene of this episode
Yeah.
except for the glass walking scene in the beginning, and he was phenomenal throughout.
Yeah. I actually didn't notice that until you said it. That's cool. Yeah. It was all about him.
It was all him.
Yeah. I guess it is a character study, just like they said it would be.
It's the first episode of a 6-part event.
It better be. Then the last thing I'll say about this episode is I love the credit sequences for these shows. WandaVision's was kind of like kind of boring, but the credit sequence for this end credit, it's so good. Visually amazing. The CGI in that one, perfect.
I love when it says Oscar Isaac and it's like his
The three
face, but it's
faces.
the 3 faces. Pretty great.
Perfection.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
I have a prediction
Ooh.
for the next episode that I don't think it's going to continue from this point. I think we're going to get the origin in the next episode.
I would assume so. They would have to. I mean, at some point they have to like
We have to
tell
see
it.
him die in Egypt.
Right.
You know
Unless
what I mean?
that's like, there's that scene in the trailers where it shows like Khonshu, Mark, and I'm assuming Haro, and you know how it's like they're like in Egypt and like the sky's moving all crazy. And, so I'm like, is that when he dies or is that the end? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know what else is pretty interesting though is that
What?
within our why what tell me in this first episode
Yeah.
we don't actually know the main plot point. Do you know what I mean? We have Steven, who we know is Moon Knight.
Oh,
We
like-
have Arthur, who we know is trying to get a scarab, but we don't know
What Moon Knight's doing.
right. We don't know
Right.
either of their through lines. Like, what are they actually both trying to get at?
The only thing that I could say is I think the reason why Moon Knight's happening is because now Amit's trying to, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm assuming that's why.
But I kind of like it. It's like we're still all in the dark.
Yeah.
right now.
We're on the dark side of the moon.
There you go.
Yeah,
I knew
got
there
it.
was a moon pun there.
it.
You found it. Oh, yeah.
But comment below. Let us know what you thought of the episode. That's always fun. So let's get into this little thing. I think this is always fun. We do love listicles. We're going just based off the first episode of each of these shows alone. Which one is our first opener? I know it's kind of hard. What was it? Was WandaVision the only show that gave us 2 episodes at once? I think it was.
I think so.
Which is very weird. But they also had 9 episodes, so I guess for timing it made sense. But anyway, still only basing it off of the first episodes. We only have 6 to rank. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Do you want me to do a quick rundown?
Sure.
Okay. My 6th one is Falcon and Winter Soldier because, I mean, it was whatever. You know how I feel about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Number 5 is Loki.
Whoa.
Surprisingly enough.
Low key hot take.
Yeah, because while I loved Loki the series, except for the cliffhanger, the ending, whatever, but I didn't really remember the first episode of Loki. I
It was all
remember
just
him
getting
going
to know the
there.
TVA.
Yeah,
really.
remember him being stripped at some point, but that was really it. So I'm like, if I can't remember it, then it must not be high on my list.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay,
That's fair.
number 4 is What If,
Okay.
Captain Carter. Number 3 is Hawkeye.
Oh, okay.
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 Little Christmas with the
Kids,
Hawkeye children.
man, seeing
The Bartons?
Kate's dad die
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and then she's wearing, whatever. My second one
listen to our episode, you get it.
Yeah, you got it. My second one is Moon Knight,
Okay.
and my first one, can you believe it?
No.
What I picked as my first
Not
episode
at all.
is WandaVision.
Yeah.
The 50s dinner with the hearts
Yeah.
choking at the table, the eerie ending, the what the heck is going on with these commercials, the
So
practical effects. Oh, they made the things float with strings like back in the day. There was a live studio audience. It was so good.
It was very good.
Your turn.
Do you want to know mine before? Okay. I didn't know if
Before
we wanted
what?
to talk about yours and then.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'll go. Okay, I'll say mine. Okay, so number 6 is Hawkeye
Mm.
for me.
Oh,
That's-
wow. Okay.
It's low on the list only because I kind of alluded to this point earlier. It's like the thing with some of these ones with pre-existing characters, it's a lot of where are they now?
Mm.
You know what I mean? It was really cool. I loved the Kate stuff. But you know what I mean? The first episode was kind of just Rogers the Musical was the best part of the Hawkeye first episode. Number 5 was Falcon and Winter Soldier because that canyon scene was fantastic. If it was, it would probably been last if it wasn't for that scene for me.
Yeah.
And I also loved the Bucky stuff, so whatever. Number 4 is Loki. I love the TVA. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, so anything that is even close to their realm, I need it. I want it. Number 3 is What If. Loved the Captain Carter. I love it. WandaVision is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Moon Knight is number 1. It was so, it's I can't really find a problem with this episode aside from those CGI moments. And I'm not saying WandaVision had any problems, but it was also very short. But this Moon Knight one, it's my cup of tea. Scary,
Hey.
eerie.
Yeah, go
I
for
loved
it.
it.
Go
Loved
for it.
so much.
But listen, you know me. If there's a strong female lead, it takes the cake for me.
Donna was in this. So was Dylan.
First of all, I didn't even know Dylan's name was Dylan.
Donna had a very strong personality.
Okay, but Donna was my biggest mystery this entire thing. Who's Donna? We learned who Donna
Why
is.
does she hate him?
Donna.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I
on the
think
credits. Yeah.
I think Donna has a crush.
Oh,
Okay.
probably. I mean, that's
Why won't he pay attention to her? I don't know. Maybe it's because you're mean.
She's mean. But I do want to say that both shows that came out at the beginning of the year, so 21, last year, WandaVision happened. Phenomenal. Started the year off super strong.
God.
This one, so far from what I can tell, starting it off just so strong. Something about those first shows of the years. Hopefully they can keep it going.
It's crazy how long it was between Hawkeye and this. I'm just realizing it was like 3 whole months. That's crazy.
Yeah, there was like because we got like Spider-Man No Way Home, and then that was it. And now we're going into Multiverse of Madness soon.
What are we at? Are we in like phase 4.5, 4B? What phase are we in right now?
The reason why it seems like this phase is so long is because there's TV shows.
Yeah.
Prior to that, there would only be, I think, technically like 3, 4 movies so far into the phase. So
motion pictures.
Yeah. So those are our rankings. Let us know. We're asking your comment below a lot, but like, if you want to, maybe this one resonates with you a little more. Let us know your top first episodes of each.
They're like, why are you always making us work?
Because we like to hear from
Guys,
you.
interact with us. Aw.
All right. Anyway, it wouldn't be a new season or a bite of without a very special. I think I only did one special segment in our entire history, but this is Derek's baby. A new special segment.
It's time for Talking to the Gods of the Moon.
This one, that's long.
Trying to pray to you.
Wait, is that Bruno Mars?
Yeah. Talking to the moon.
Mars, moon, space. All connects. Bruno. Arthur.
Ethan Hawke. No.
All right. So what is this? What is this?
As we know, with my Loki special segment, which some of us forgot, obviously, gods from other cultures were a favorite subject of mine as a kid. Therefore, with our friend Khonshu being the voice in Steven's head, I thought I would take the opportunity to talk about the gods of the moon.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're getting a god every episode.
Oh, yeah.
There's that many gods for the moon? Oh, yeah. Different cultures. Different. Yeah.
So my first stop on our lunar voyage is to Japan. I would be remiss to not mention the guardian of the moon, Sailor Moon, Usagi Tsukino, and her boo, Prince Endymion, a.k.a. Tuxedo Mask, a.k.a. Moonlight Knight, from the first half of Sailor Moon R. Okay? She is not the subject of the special segment.
Okay.
But would anyone forgive me for not bringing her up? So I had to do my due diligence.
Yeah.
But let's discover the moon god way before 1992 when Sailor Moon first hit the airwaves and talk about the creation of the 3 noble gods in Japan.
Okay.
When Izanagi, the god who created the land, washed himself of his sins, he also released the 3 noble gods. From his left eye, Amaterasu, the sun goddess. From his right eye, the moon god, Tsukiyomi no Mikoto. And from his nose, Susanoo, the sea god. So, of course, we're talking about Tsukiyomi.
So they're eye boogies and nose boogies?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We have more bodily stuff coming up. Wait.
Can't wait.
So, Tsukiyomi is a compound word, Tsuki meaning moon or month, and Yomi meaning reading or counting. I would also like to point out that Sailor Moon's name is Usagi, which means rabbit, because when in Japan, like in the US, we look at the man in the moon, they see the rabbit in the moon.
Rabbit. Yeah.
And Tsukino is Suki, which means moon.
Are you sure this is about Sailor Moon?
I mean, it is as much as it isn't.
It is as much as it is.
So the tale goes that Amaterasu and Tsukiyomi were very close and could often be seen in the sky together.
Aww.
One time, Amaterasu, the sun goddess, was invited to a feast by the goddess of food, Ukimochi. But she could not attend, so she sent her brother, the god of the moon, Tsukiyomi, in her place. Ukimochi would go behind a rock and return with bountiful plates of food time and time again. Feeling that this was suspicious, Tsukiyomi took a peek and saw that Ukimochi was vomiting up most of the food and shooting a bunch of it out of her nose to serve to the guests.
Wait, what?
So he peeked behind the rock, and the goddess of food would bring the food to them by throwing it up and then giving it to them.
Ew, but like that's a cool talent if you can make like full turkeys or.
It was like fish and rice and stuff like that. But
did she have to eat it first and then it's just like stored?
there's different versions where like she would suck a fish up from the sea and then throw it back up. And there's other versions
No,
where
just
she
use your hands.
where she just barfs it up
Just
for
use
no
your
reason.
hands.
Yeah,
It's so
but
weird.
as you are disgusted, so is Tsukiyomi. So he did what any god would do, and he chopped her head off.
What?
Yeah. So
like, ew, you're feeding us puke food.
chopped her head off. Yeah. So his sister, Amaterasu, was so mad that he did this. She said she never wanted to see him again. So he traveled to the other side of the world, and this is the reason why the sun and the moon are rarely seen in the sky at the same time.
Okay.
So party foul led to day and night.
Wait, so like before they were both just there together, so there was no night?
Well, they were brother and sister. It's about creation and like the world. Do you know what I mean? It's the tale of telling how day and night.
No, I get
came
it.
to
I
be.
just like wanted to know what that was like.
Yeah, they were besties. One came out of one eye, the other came out of the other eye. They were besties, but then she got really mad at him. So then he went to the other side of the world, and that's why it's day and night.
Don't look at me.
I mean,
Oh, when they fight, is that what like the lunar eclipse and solar eclipse are? Oh, that'd be cool.
maybe.
Yeah. Take
So-
this, biatch.
Yeah, so that's Tsukiyomi no Mikoto.
Cool.
Yeah, that's your first
Just got
installment
learned.
of the Moon
I got
Gods.
learned. Yeah.
Yeah, special segment. Let's go. Cow.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. It was fun. Tune in next week for the next episode of Moon Knight, brought to you by Derek and Noah of A Bite Of.
Goodbye.
Turn off.
Thanks for listening to A Bite Of, artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at A Bite Of Pod and on Facebook at A Bite Of. If you have questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can email us at abiteofpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate and review to spread the word. Hope you join us next time on A Bite Of. Bye.